And I believe we have a guest on the show. I'd like to welcome to the show Limitless Keith Lee. Keith, you there?
Yes, sir. This would be me. How do you do, gentlemen?
Very well, sir. Thank you very much for joining us here on the All Night Long Wrestling Podcast. How you doing, man? You feeling better? I know you were a little banged up over the weekend.
Oh, I'm good, man. You know, all the wrestling woes, the expected things, little injuries here and there. And then, you know, anytime anybody has Kyle O'Reilly kicking them in the leg several times, of course they're going to be a little banged up, but I'm good.
I could speak to that. I was at the show, of course. I saw you over the weekend, and I guess we'll just hop right to Evolve 82. You versus Kyle O'Reilly. You were the official welcoming committee for Kyle O'Reilly back to Evolve. Tell me what that was like, because for a fan standpoint, man, that match stole the show, and on a card like that, stealing the show is really hard to do.
It was a very intense match. I don't think either of us were really concerned with stealing shows per se, but you know, that was all about competition, really, and I think it was a good one, to say the very least.
Yeah, and from all the fans there, I could definitely say they enjoyed it. Before we get to anything, I want to let everybody know that I am wearing my Keith Ziller shirt, which I got from bottomlinemerch.com/Keith Lee. And I don't know if it's meant to, but it really accentuates the traps. I don't know if that was in the design, Keith, but I do appreciate it.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, man. It's the very first design that I ever got done, and well, not ever got done, but the very first what I consider cool design. And it was actually made by a fan who's really, really gifted with graphics. His name is actually Matt Anderegg. I try and plug him from time to time because he's really good at what he does, and that was just a favor to me as a fan. So it's something I appreciate eternally.
Yeah. Definitely. It's a cool looking shirt. It definitely stands out amongst the other professional wrestling shirts out there. Now, I, for one, got a chance to watch your Evolve mini documentary that they have up on YouTube, and I thought that was a very interesting piece. Now, for those who haven't gotten a chance to watch that, can you just tell us a little bit about how you got your start, you know, in wrestling and growing up? I know it was different than a lot of other people did.
Yeah, man, it's basically just a family love, I guess you could say. My grandmother's love for professional wrestling seemingly, I guess you could say, took me over or made its way into me, burrowed its way into my soul. And when I was a freshman in college, I made a decision and stuck with my guns and left football behind and took on football, and it's been a very interesting journey ever since then.
So growing up, did you have any wrestlers that you like were your favorites, or that you would consider, you know, that were influences on you and your style today?
No. Growing up, I was never influenced by any wrestler. My only influence was my grandmother. I did not gain any type of influence until I was probably a few years into wrestling, and then I started watching other things and learning from watching other people. But once I got into wrestling, I'd say some of those influences would be like low-key, Kurt Angle, early days Brock Lesnar, like when he first came around, and then like your expected greats like Kenta Kobashi and Muda, things like that.
Now, you are one of the busiest guys in the business right now. I've seen articles on Keith Lee on Forbes, on ESPN, and what they're saying is you're kind of redefining the quote-unquote big man. But what people I don't think realize is regardless of your size, it's impressive what you do at your size, but those moves are difficult for anybody to do. Let somebody, your size do them. Do you feel like the wave of, I guess, big men of this generation is a little bit different than it was in years past?
I don't know. I don't really feel like it is. I just think that some people are willing to step out on a limb and do the things that they enjoy. For me, I've always been able to do the things that I do. I just never did because it was kind of against the rules or looked down upon. For me to have taken that step took a certain encouragement from proper people to want to be myself and not care about other people and what they think about the style of wrestling that I do. So for me, it's just about being myself, man. And for other guys, I think some guys are challenging themselves maybe to be the athlete that today's wrestling enjoys. And that's definitely the type of wrestling I enjoy. So I like to mix and match. I like a nice slow pace, but I also like to explode when necessary. This kind of depends on matches and situations, opponent types, things of that sort.
I think you have the ability, like you said, to have a type of match with everybody. I mean, from your matches with Ricochet, which were, I mean, you were going hold for hold with Ricochet, move for move, and then a power match like you do with a Brian Cage or a Jeff Cobb. Did you find it difficult to kind of alter your style to your opponent, or was that something, being such a gifted athlete that just kind of came natural to you?
I think natural is a lot of what I do, man. Especially nowadays, now that I've settled into being comfortable with just being who I am. It's just I'm comfortable in this. I'm happy with this, and a lot of people are enjoying it, man. Fans, even wrestlers, strangers who have never ever watched wrestling that have seen me have completely changed their ways and devoted themselves to wrestling, if you will. It's just cool to see the effects of what I love, what it does for other people. So I'm definitely enjoying that, and it being a natural thing for me, it feels good because it's just who I am. So it's what I'm doing.
I think to be able to catch somebody who's never watched wrestling before and to engulf them into professional wrestling with your matches is something that's amazing. If you had a wrestling fan and let's say they didn't know who Keith Lee was, do you have a particular match you would show them that you feel, would show them who you really are and what you're really capable of?
When people ask me about matches and different styles and such, I think that if I'm just looking to blow their mind, I generally direct them to myself versus Brian Cage, because it's kind of like a freaking video game match, where I just feel like maybe we're just one-upping each other, challenging each other's cardio, because we're just constantly throwing each other around, and it's just this nuts match. It was craziness. Outside of that, some people like chess games or big type of, I guess, trading blows, throwing lumber type matches. I'll direct them to myself versus Chris Hero. If I want to just wow people, then I might direct them to myself versus JT Dunn from Pro Wrestling Magic. And then if some people just are looking for a different flavor, they want to see me versus a small guy, then I might direct them to myself versus Johnny Silver. And though that one, the cage match, and Chris Hero are all from Beyond Wrestling, and they just were gracious enough to release for free. So a lot of people have been enjoying those matches lately.
Yeah, I'll definitely make sure to share those on Facebook. Actually, I think it was Donovan Dijak that said when he was commentating a match with Brian Cage that it looks like a video game, and you couldn't be, more right because what you guys were able to do in that match was unbelievable. Now, those were your singles matches. I know you started your career pretty much as a singles wrestler until you teamed up with Shane as the Pretty Boy Killers. So
Yes, that is correct.
was it difficult for you to go from a singles wrestler to a tag team wrestler? I know in Ring of Honor you had great matches with War Machine and the Briscoes. Was that something that was easy for you to do?
I want to say yes, but it's also no. I mean, for us, it was a lot easier than most because you got two huge, just enormous guys. You got Shane, who at the time was probably 365, 370. He's lost a lot of weight lately. And then you have me, who hovers around 320, 330 regularly, maybe gets down into the 315 level. So obviously, we can run through anybody on our own right. So it makes things easier. But in terms of the more challenging matches, it definitely took some learning and whatnot. And I think that we accelerated at a very fast pace when it comes to that, because I don't recall Shane really being a tag wrestler either. It's just an appointment that we or a opportunity that we took the competition on, and we learned very quickly. We learned on the job, and a lot of that can be faked through Ring of Honor's locker room. And I always try to give a big thanks to Christopher Daniels, because he taught us specifically a lot. And we applied everything that we learned from him, and we had great success together. And a lot of fun, of course.
It definitely seemed like it in the series of matches you guys had with War Machine. Now, you guys had, blasted onto the scene at Ring of Honor very fast. You were thrown to a lot of really good tag team matches. And then after that, you decided to go the singles route and go to Evolve. Was that a hard decision for you to make? Or was that something you just felt like was best for your career and that was the right thing to do at the time?
It was very difficult because so I think Ring of Honor made the offer at the very end of 2016, and then not long after that, maybe a week. I don't even know if it was a week. Then Evolve made an offer, and I took probably, I don't know. Since I had already known about both, probably took around 3 weeks of just thinking and chatting and talking and brainstorming and talking to mentors and whatnot, and just juggling things around, weighing pros and cons, and considering Shane and the whole ordeal, of course. And in the end, after talking to mentors and friends and family and whatnot, it just felt like Evolve's interest was way more fitting in my interest. And they were looking to give me a chance to showcase Keith Lee, and that's all I wanted, was a chance to deliver and to be something that can build a company. And I think that I'm doing that. I think that I already felt like I could do that, but I think that I'm also now doing so, becoming that commodity, becoming that important key piece on the chessboard. So, in the end, I feel more now than ever that I definitely made the right decision.
I mean, people have been calling you the MVP of WrestleMania weekend, so I would echo your sentiments with making the right decision. Evolve is doing a great job in bringing in a lot of talent right now. Obviously, Drew Galloway had just left, so they bring in a Kyle O'Reilly, and they keep bringing in, these big name guys, and, you're in the main event picture. You have Ego in the main event picture. Is there anybody that you haven't gotten a chance to work with yet that you would like to?
Well, I would say Matt Sydal, but I mean, I'm wrestling him on Saturday for VIP wrestling, so that's going to be like a pseudo dream match right there. There's still, yeah, there's still plenty of people that I haven't wrestled that I'd love to, and I also like wrestling new people to begin with. So those are nice challenges and good tests that people you don't know, maybe you haven't seen a lot of footage on, things of that sort. I think some of the most major challenges that I'm interested in are really over in Japan. So, I mean, and then, of course, there's a ton of talent in WWE. There's plenty of guys. I mean, I wrestled most of the guys I really wanted to wrestle in Lucha Underground. And then I'm even, the possibility, I mean, we're still a ways off, but there's a place called Canuck Pro in Canada that seems to be booking some powerhouse shows in November and December. So I'm looking forward to those because I believe my very first match with them is supposed to be against Ray Phoenix. So there's different opportunities and even some matches you just don't think of until they're put together. And it's like, oh, yeah, I really want that. One of my favorite things that'll be coming up in July is myself versus Daisuke Sekimoto for XWA in the United Kingdom. And that, I know a lot of fans really want to see. So I'm super looking forward to giving something special for that.
That's awesome that you're expanding, the UK and the international talent. For my own selfish reasons, I would love to see Keith Lee versus Tomohiro Ishii. That's a dream match of mine that I've been thinking about.
I've heard a lot of people say that, and Ishii's extremely talented, so I think it'd be a very interesting match, and absolutely, I think it'd deliver on a lot of different levels. So, if that opportunity ever came up, I would be more than happy to step into a ring with him. One of my personal wants, like the most major thing on the bucket list, would probably be to wrestle Okada in a preferably more main event profile match or a very serious level match, because I think that it would be something like super duper special, absolutely, for any and everybody to enjoy. Fans, new fans, non-fans. I think if anybody saw it, it'd be a very special spectacle to see, if you will.
Absolutely. Now, in talking about New Japan, is that one of your long-term goals? Do you see yourself working in Japan?
I wouldn't really just call it a long-term goal because everybody's view on long-term is different. Like it's an extremely subjective term. So I will just say that New Japan, I mean, maybe not just New Japan, but Japan in general is a goal for me. Just to compete there and meet some new fans and get some different opportunities and whatnot. It's not a super pressing matter or anything like that. If the opportunity came, I'd take a look at it just like any other and decide if it's the right thing to do, if it made sense, if it was a smart move. And then if it was, then I'd be there right away. So, I'd like to go there, mainly because I love Japan. I love Japan before I love Japan wrestling, right? So just going to Japan is a really cool idea for me.
I think it gets a lot of the fans thinking, and that would be, just something great to see. I know you said you have Ray Phoenix coming up. What other matches do you have coming up already that you're on the horizon that you're looking forward to?
I mean, there's so many, man. Like I said, this Saturday I've got Matt Sydal at VIP Wrestling. I think that's probably going to blow a few minds unexpectedly, because people are probably going to look at the size difference and not really think anything. But I'm certain that the man that he is will be able to surprise a lot of people, and I think the match itself will blow a lot of minds. And then Sunday I'll go back to Beyond Wrestling for the first time in a while, not counting Mania weekend. And I'll go one-on-one with Michael Elgin. And everybody loves big guys that throw people around, and we both throw people around. So that makes that match pretty easy to enjoy. Let's see, outside of that, I think next weekend's going to be great. I'm making some new debuts. I'll be headed to Pro Wrestling Revolver, and for the first time ever, it will be me versus Moose. I know that a lot of people have been wanting that match, even as far back as Ring of Honor, like when I was there. So by now, I know a lot of people are kind of salivating for it. So that should be a great fun. And then I'll debut at AAW on 5/6. I have no idea who I'm facing, though. So I'm just looking forward to joining that company, and I hear great things about it, so looking forward to being a part of that. And then, of course, later in the month, it's back to PWG on 5/19 to face Trevor Lee, which should be an extremely good match. And then back to Evolve. So, it's going to be a nice, busy few weeks and keeping it fun. I think I'm going to take off the 5/12 through the 14th weekend, maybe go visit my mother or something, just to get a chance to relax a little bit, decompress, if you will.
Well, I mean, listen, with your schedule, I think saying you deserve a break is an understatement. And before we let you go, I got to ask you, last Friday night, you were in Reseda, California against Jeff Cobb, and then not 24 hours later, you're in the middle of Queens, New York, wrestling Kyle O'Reilly. How difficult is that to do with a 3-hour flight? You're killing each other on Friday night. You fly overnight, you get in, and then you do it all again. How is that something because you've been an athlete your entire life that you're kind of acclimated to, or how? That's the part I think the fans they don't really see. And how difficult was that for you?
Well, let's not forget the fact that I also had a match earlier in the day before Kyle O'Reilly. I also performed on the Tier 1 show. I believe it was The One Who Knocks, and I faced Chris Dickinson there. So I actually had 2 matches that Saturday. And it's definitely not easy. I think that was my second time doing it. I was a little more prepared. The very first time that I did it, I went from PWG back over to Connecticut, and I had a match against Warbeard Hansen for Northeast Wrestling. And, oh, man, the way that it beat my body up and I had not a lot of energy was definitely, it was rough for me, man. I wasn't really prepared for that because I had never done it before. So I was a little more prepared that time. I made sure to try and find food and keep myself well hydrated because for whatever reason, that going from the West Coast to the East really does take a toll on you. I always kind of downplayed people that complained about traveling until I started doing it a lot more. Then I realized traveling itself beats your body up. So I've gained a whole new level of respect for that, and I'm a little more prepared for it these days. So I deal with it a lot better than I did that first time. But I think that having such a passion and love for this kind of helps you get acclimated to this faster than most people would. So it was just a matter of pushing through. I think it was more of a mental thing, especially when it came to the O'Reilly match, because holy crap, that was a really intense match, man. Really intense.
Dude, I hate flying to Pittsburgh from New York. I can't imagine flying cross country and then getting beat up like that. So listen, Keith, I can't tell you how much we appreciate your time on here. I appreciate you coming on and talking to us. And like we said before, bottomlinemerch.com/Keith Lee. Pick up the shirts. They are awesome. And where can people follow you? Where can people find out what you got going on?
Man, the best places are Twitter and Instagram. More so Twitter, but I mean, Instagram's fun. I probably post more more pictures on Instagram than I would on Facebook or Twitter. So and it's nice and easy. Both are the same. The handles are Real Keith Lee all together. Keith is spelled Keith. Do not do I before E except after C because I don't follow grammar rules. So deal with it. But yeah, those Instagram and Twitter are the best places, and I'm definitely more active on Twitter than anything else.
Awesome. Well, you guys heard it. Thank you very much for your time, Keith. We look forward to seeing what we got going on for you, and look forward to seeing you when Evolve returns to New York this summer.
Sounds good, man. Thanks for having me, dudes. It's a great time.
And guys, that was the limitless one, Keith Lee, Evolve superstar, former Ring of Honor superstar, and a guy that you're going to be hearing a lot about in the next coming months. The guy, Keith Lee, is everywhere, and it was a joy having him on. Really appreciate his time. And, he was on Deadspin, he was on ESPN, he was on Forbes. I feel like the next logical step is the All Night Long Wrestling Podcast.
It stands to reason, my friend. That's how it goes. But yeah, no, that was really great of him to join us for a little bit today. I mean, he is really, for us, I know there's people out there that some people follow just WWE and some people do follow independent wrestling a little more. We try to do a little both as closely as possible. And as far as independent wrestling goes, I think he's one of, if not the most talked about guy out there right now, with what he's making, making a name for himself. And, he's got into Ring of Honor. He got some more, eyes on him there, and now making a switch to Evolve into a singles competitor, or continuing his career as a singles competitor prior to his tag team with Shane Taylor. And like you said, he's got interviews. He's talking with ESPN. He's talking with Forbes. So he's got a lot going for him right now. So I really appreciate him coming on the show here and spending a little time with us after working all those matches this past weekend, apparently, and flying across country and doing all that craziness. So